Welcome to Fantasy Plus. I'm Aaron Lafferty, and we've made it to week 4. Are you 3-0, or are you 0-3, or maybe somewhere in between? Hopefully we can help you with that this week. Joining me is Jack Doles and Phil Pinarski back for another round, guys. How are we feeling about week 3?
I got to win.
Yeah. Take it when you can, I guess, right?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was actually painful, but it was a win.
Yeah.
Held on. The Lions carved up that Baltimore defense. Not sure why I played them, but I did, and held on and won. So, great.
Yeah, that hurt. I won 1 out of 3 leagues, so I guess I'll take the 1 win, right? Let's start right into it with the headlines from week 3. Your quarterback of the week, Caleb Williams, Jack, 19 of 28, 298 yards for Caleb Williams, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and some yards on the ground.
Yeah, that was really fun to watch as a Bears fan. Boy, Cowboys fans must be hating life right now because that defense is below good. And I think they're going to get carved up on a weekly basis. But Caleb Williams starting to look, you're seeing this is what as a the Bears were hoping for, that Ben Johnson's hands on this guy would start to turn him into a quarterback that everybody thought he could be. So that's one good week. How are you going to follow it up?
Jonathan Taylor, 17 carries, 102 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then Phil, one of your Raiders.
Yeah. The one bright spot to this season, I guess, so far is the fact that everybody's so worried about Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, that Trey Tucker is just down the field wide open. Again, 3 touchdowns. You'd think it was a lot closer against Washington than it was, but again, kind of a couple garbage time touchdowns, I would think, there. But still, very impressive showing from him.
And then Hunter Henry, he was on waivers. People didn't draft him. Have we just forgot about Hunter Henry? Like every year he seems to just plod along, just right below the surface. He's a good tight end for you week in and week out.
I think he just has enough weeks where he does little to nothing that people who have him just kind of like get tired of him.
Right.
And as soon as you get tired of him, the next week he goes off like that.
How long has he been in the league? I remember people talking about him when he was in with the Chargers and having Phillip Rivers throw him the ball. I can't even think of the last time. But Phillip Rivers retired years ago. So he's been sticking around just long enough. Like Jack said, a couple of weeks here and there is going to keep you on an NFL roster probably.
And then the other big notes, Connor's out for the season with a foot injury. Mike Evans is week to week. They were going to do an MRI. Keep an eye on those reports. He's got a hamstring. Najee Harris is out with an Achilles. He's done for the season. CeeDee Lamb is week to week with an ankle injury. That one looked pretty bad. And then McLaurin's injured with a quad. It's football. We're used to injuries, guys, but it's starting to get weird on the waiver wire.
Yeah, it's a lot of big names too going down. And I know we were talking last week about handcuffs, guys you wanted to keep.
Right.
Boy, if you had that handcuff in Arizona right now, you're pretty happy.
Right.
I don't.
So let's get into it. Thursday night's right around the corner. Seahawks coming off a big win, 8:15 Prime Video. The line is at 1.5 as we speak here Wednesday. The Seahawks defense look good. I mean, they played a pretty inept team last week, but I would be worried about starting most of the Cardinals this week. What are you guys thinking?
I'm worried about starting most of the Cardinals most of the time because offensively they've got some really good pieces, but they just I don't know if it's the quarterback Kyler Murray. I don't know if it's just their game plan. They're not real consistent. But I do know right now I wish I had Trey Benson.
Yeah, again, I think with the Cardinals, like Jack said, they've got a bunch of really nice pieces, but there's only one ball. So I feel like most of the time you are kind of banking on one of these guys to break out, and then always seems to be the other guy that always ends up with the more points. So again, Cardinals, it's always hard to pick between which guys you want to actually play and who you think's actually going to be, doing really well in each game, each week.
The over-under on this game is 43.5, so not expected to be a super high-scoring game. The Cardinals' defense isn't bad. They're banged up a little bit. So I don't know. I would play JSN. I'd play Kenneth Walker, but I would punt on the Cardinals until you know more and see how this week goes.
Yeah, the Seattle defense is real. That's a really good defense.
Right.
You know,
It's no Legion of Boom, but
McDonald used to be part of that Harbaugh staff at Michigan.
Yep.
He can clearly coach. I think we're seeing now some of that Harbaugh tree
Yep.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's going to be better than the Belichick tree ever was.
There's some weather lurking in the forecast. Scott Larson's going to give us a preview of what to expect in Week 4.
Week 4 of the NFL season gets started with an NFC West matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. The roof is going to be closed on State Farm Stadium, mostly sunny skies. Temperatures still near 100 degrees at kickoff on Thursday night. The second game of the weekend takes us across the Atlantic Ocean, about 3,500 miles away from Grand Rapids. 9:30 in the morning, we have international football taking place. The Vikings are going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Game time temperature near 60 degrees at Croak Stadium there across the pond. So partly cloudy skies. Pretty comfortable for that matchup as Carson Wentz takes on Aaron Rodgers. Here's a look at some of the other matchups on Week 4. And you can see that the Lions are going to be facing off against the Cleveland Browns indoors at Ford Field. And you can also find that there's a chance of some showers and storms down in Tampa as the Eagles will be facing off against the Buccaneers. Indianapolis, they're going to be trying to keep their hot start going against the Los Angeles Rams indoors for that game. Likewise, as the Bears take on the Las Vegas Raiders. A big matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be a warm one, and then that'll be finished on Wood TV at night, 8:20 p.m. the kickoff between the Packers and the Cowboys. We also have a Monday night doubleheader. You can expect to see the Jets facing off against the Dolphins in an AFC East matchup with a chance of showers and storms in South Florida. And the Bengals are going to be trying to pick themselves up after losing against the Vikings last week. They'll be facing off at Mile High.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll keep an eye on the warm weather for Week 4 and a couple raindrops on the forecast. Let's take a look at the rest of Week 4. We got the early morning game. Minnesota and Pittsburgh are playing in Ireland. They're playing at Croke Park in Dublin. That's 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I'm downgrading Steelers after last week. And maybe it's just they played a bad Cincinnati team, but the Vikings defense looked good last week.
Yeah, I think it had more so to do with Cincinnati without Joe Burrow and just kind of struggling there. But, you put up 48 points on anybody. I mean, you're going to make some news. You're going to make some waves and definitely build up some confidence going, into this week against Pittsburgh.
A lot of big defensive plays by them, and you put 40 points on the board with Carson Wentz at quarterback.
Right.
That's a really good coach, and that's a really good team. How good is the NFC Central right now?
Yeah.
That's a little bit scary with Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit, the way they've looked. Green Bay, tough loss, but I think they'll bounce back in a big way this week.
Yeah, they've got a prime matchup.
Yeah. When you've got Dallas on the schedule, you're kind of in for probably a big week.
Yeah. Also, are you starting all, pretty much you're starting all your Bills against the Saints in that game.
Definitely.
That Cleveland-Detroit game, Cleveland gave the Packers a little scare with their defense. Are you downgrading any of your Lions this week?
No.
Okay.
No, I think the Lions have shown that they can score on anybody. The offensive line will need to be really good again because Cleveland can bring it. But Cleveland can also make a lot of mistakes offensively and give you some really good field position. Right. So I wouldn't downgrade the Lions right now against anybody after what I've seen these last 2 weeks. I think there's a belief in that locker room right now that after that stench of the Week 1 Packer performance,
right,
that, hey, we're fine without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. 7 sacks.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen the Lions do something like this against a mobile quarterback. They really did a great job against Lamar Jackson. They still put up 21 points. But, oh, my goodness, the Lions, 98-yard drive, 96-yard drive.
Yeah.
If this offensive line continues to gel like this, you want to play every Lion on your roster offensively, the main ones. I think Jameson Williams will probably have a huge week this week because we didn't see that out of him this week because they didn't need it.
Right.
Sonic and Knuckles went off. Jared Goff just played steady and solid. Didn't really have to throw much. Threw when he had to, and he threw really well. I'm telling you, that touchdown they scored in the red zone there, where St. Brown pitched it. You're going to see a lot of teams take that play. I haven't
Right.
seen that play before. Maybe it's been out there, but that is a genius play plan, not drawn up by Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think David Montgomery's probably going to average 10 yards a carry like
No.
he did on Monday night. But again, I still think that what they were able to do against Baltimore, I know their defense is struggling a little bit, but they still have some dogs on their team, some really big names on that defense, and they were able to still kind of do what they wanted to. So I'm not worried about the Lions offensively. I think if you've got any player on that team on the offensive side of the ball, you're probably safe to go ahead and start them if you weren't already planning to do that already.
Isn't it crazy how the tone of the conversation changed within 2 weeks?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's why we did the don't panic episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about, I mean, you're starting all your Packers against the Cowboys. Alex said it last week, start all your Bears, and they went off
Yeah.
against the Cowboys. So it seems like we're targeting two defenses, at least this part of the season so far. Target Dallas and target the Bengals. So also start your Broncos on Monday night. We got a doubleheader. One's on ABC, one's on ESPN.
Yeah. Also, Green Bay's going to be ticked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what you saw last week, they've got something to prove, and now they've got a team that a lot of teams have proved against. So this will be fun, and won't it be fun to watch Micah Parsons out there against
Right.
the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
How many times are they going to show Jerry Jones on television?
How many split boxes are we going to see between
Yeah.
Micah and Jerry? Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
For me, the question is this the week you bring Golden
Yeah.
off your bench?
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything yet.
Yep.
He hasn't really been part of the offense, but they've also lost one of the receivers. Is this the week that Golden really becomes part of this Cowboys offense?
Alex been pounding the table
Green
for
Bay
Matthew
offense.
Golden, so maybe
Yeah.
this is the week. I'm going to also point out Tampa Bay is really good against the run, so this might be a week for the Eagles receivers. We saw A.J. Brown after everybody was worried. They actually needed him to do stuff, and he did what he does. Not that he's going to have the same week he had last week, but this might be a good week for Eagles pass catchers.
Yeah, I think Tampa is going to give a lot of the same looks that the Rams did. So I think, yeah, you kind of expect to see a little bit more of the passing game and kind of what we saw last week with Philadelphia going into this one.
That's a great matchup. To me, that's probably the best game on the schedule.
Right. Other than Baltimore or Kansas
Yeah.
City.
Yeah, that's a really good game.
One of those
But
teams is going to
these-
be 1-3.
One of those
yeah,
teams is going to
exactly.
be 1-3. This is a really good game between two teams that could be meeting in the NFC
NFC
Championship
Championship,
game
yeah.
if the
Yeah.
Lions don't have a say in it.
Yeah. Ready for a little plus minus?
Yes.
All right. Player, your plus player of the week, player you think is going to have a big week, any position, whether they're on your team or not. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I'm going to go with James Cook. You know, I thought it might be kind of an easy pick here. You know, with the Bills offense and how they're kind of moving right now. He's had a really great season. He's already had 4 touchdowns. He's averaging about 100 yards a game on the ground, and he is involved in the passing game as well. So I expect James Cook to have a huge game this weekend.
If you didn't say James Cook, I was going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
There we go.
You know, this will be a game that he could come out and put up some just ridiculous numbers, and I expect that to happen.
Yeah, the Seahawks were sitting the starters after the third quarter against the Saints.
Right.
So I imagine the Bills might do that. Maybe we'll see some Trubisky, and Jack can have some fond memories of Trubisky.
There's no fond memories of Mitch Trubisky or any Chicago quarterback for that matter, ever.
Well, I had 3 written down just in case you guys took one of mine, so I guess I'll just pick it on the fly here. I'm going to go with Jordan Love against the Cowboys.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty good matchup. All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back with Survivor Pool picks, an update on the league, and a question if we have time. All right, welcome back to Fantasy Plus. It's time to talk about Survivor Pool. They're starting to drop like flies. Jack and Alec picked well, even though Jack wanted to make a last-minute.
Yeah, you kind of
Change.
saved me.
I-
You wouldn't let me make the change. I was going to save the Bills for this week. I was going to take the Packers. So thank you. You saved my hide.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
where was that help for me
Yeah,
earlier?
Phil and Scott took the Packers, which seemed
Whoops.
like the chalk pick, but they got upset by the Browns.
Stunning.
So Phil and Scott are out. sorry, guys.
And what are you going to do? I'm surprised I made it this far, honestly.
Hey, well, congratulations for making it
I almost
3
didn't
weeks.
make it after week 1.
So, Jack, you would have been out had you picked the Packers.
But I'm not.
But you're not. You're still in it.
Yep.
Also out, Laney picked the Texans, and the Texans lost to the Jaguars. Jaguars at home.
That was a curious pick.
Yeah, Alec was questioning that as well.
Yeah,
So,
that was weird.
but gonna try to be nice. And then Blake joined me with the Seahawks, and the game was over. It was 21-3 in the first quarter, so we were feeling pretty good. Couldn't actually put it official until the final whistle, but
Yeah, I think if I were to do this again, I would go with the strategy of just picking whoever the Saints are playing, because I feel like that would have been a lot
Right.
smarter than
Find
just
the
trying
worst
to,
team.
try to
Yeah.
find the one team that you think you can rely on, and learn my lesson: never rely on the Packers for anything.
Well, I'm relying on the Packers this week
you go.
because they're playing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying there, pick the worst team in the league and take the team that's playing. them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Eventually, that worst team will probably win a game, but I don't think Dallas is winning this game. Not against Green Bay.
Yeah.
Not when Micah Parsons is going to want to get out there, and he might have 6 sacks.
right.
He might.
Yeah, he might. I wouldn't be surprised if he sets a record or something. So I'm taking that strategy that Jack's talking about, picking the Bills against the Saints. So I'm taking 2 weeks back to back against the Saints. Jack and Alec are picking the same team again. I don't know what's going on. Some twinsies stuff going on.
We're certainly not collaborating on this.
Yeah, just so happens these are all blind. Nobody knows who everybody else is picking. And then Blake is still in it. He picked the Texans. They're taking on the Titans.
Wow, he didn't learn from Laney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did-
So we'll see. The Texans are at home.
But they have struggled,
Yeah.
and especially on the offensive side of the ball, where the Titans have struggled the most. I think that's pretty evenly matched, and who knows? I mean, the Texans' defense is really good. I mean, that's
Right.
who I have in this News 8 league. But Cam Ward, I feel like he could due for his rookie breakout game if he's going to have one soon.
It's plus or minus time. A different version of plus or minus. Players that are available in 75% or more of leagues. So probably not on Phil's team this time. I adjusted the numbers, Phil. Hopefully this will help out. Let's start with quarterbacks. We got people like Marcus Mariota, who had a good week, filling in for Jaden Daniels. Aaron Rodgers, we went a whole episode without saying his name, but Aaron Rodgers is out there. Carson Wentz had the big week. Geno Smith, Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young. All those guys are averaging 16 or more. Then you've got Tyrod Taylor's, Sam Darnold, Jake Browning, Jackson Dart will get his first start, and then Cam Ward's averaging 9 points a game. Any of those guys get your attention?
There's 2 that
If you're like desperate quarterback,
yeah, and I'm in one of
And
my leagues, desperate quarterback.
Right.
There's 2 that get my attention here. Carson Wentz,
okay,
because we saw what happened in Minnesota last year with a guy who wasn't supposed to be a good quarterback, and he played well above his station or what he had shown he could do. Well, Carson Wentz is a guy who came in the league years ago. We're talking about him as the next great quarterback, and he fell off the face of the earth. And now this is 6 straight years he started for a different team.
yeah,
But look at that performance last week in his first start after Minnesota looked awful offensively the first 2 weeks. Well, he's doing what he's being asked to do. So I don't think he's going to come out and give you like a 40-point performance, but I think he's going to be steady. He's not going to kill you. The other one, Jackson Dart, I'm not a fan of the Giants, but they've got a lot of weapons there that have been underutilized. And so if he just goes out there and does the right thing and then the confidence grows, you might be pretty happy somewhere down the line picking him up. I wouldn't start him this week,
right.
not in this game.
Not against the Chargers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really tough first start in the NFL against Jim Harbaugh and this Charger defense. But those are 2 guys that I think if you're looking a little further down the road, and Wentz this week might be a pretty good play if you're desperate. But of all the names on the list, those are the 2 that stand out to me.
Phil, anybody standing out for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Wentz, especially if he does keep kind of doing what Kevin O'Connell and this Minnesota team needs him to do, and maybe they're looking at him to maybe finish out the season. Then you've got a guy that is going to keep playing in games instead of just waiting for JJ McCarthy to come back. Another guy, again, I said it earlier, I'm not really in the business of picking Raiders players as a fan, but Geno Smith, he is just racking up the yards. Again, the one benefit to always being losing by so much is that you do end up with some of those garbage time touchdowns to help out. So again, if you're more focused on the stats like you are in fantasy, then Geno is a good option. If you're a general manager of an NFL organization, different story. But
running backs, we got Miles Sanders, Blake Corum, Jeremy McNichols, Rico Dowdle, Chris Rodriguez. We were talking before the show, running backs are getting thin. These are people that are averaging 4 points or more. We're just barely scraping by. Kyle Juszczyk, Antonio Gibson, Woody Marks, Justice Hill.
Are they getting points now for blocks?
No.
Yeah, then Kyle Juszczyk,
Fake handoffs.
He'll get the
2
occasional
to 4
touchdown.
touches.
Yeah.
And he might get a touchdown.
Right.
I will never put him on my roster.
But I'm just, that's how thin it's getting
Right.
on the
Yeah.
waivers for running backs. Anybody there for you, Jack?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not on this list.
Yeah. I think
Phil?
if you had to pick a name, I did like Jeremy McNichols. I thought he had a pretty good game against the Raiders last week for the Commanders. But then you got to think, that running back room, with Ja'Cory, Krosky-Merritt, he's getting a lot more touches, so he might be taking a step back as far as production. But that was probably the only name on that list that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, there's 2 Commanders on that list, so
Yeah.
they're splitting. All right, I think wide receivers where we hit some more diamonds here. Tyquan Thornton, Calvin Austin, Ty Thornton, Keyshawn Butte, DeAndre Hopkins, who seems to catch like 2 balls and one of them is a touchdown every week. Hunter Renfrow, Romeo Dobbs, Luther Burden for the Bears, Rashad Bateman, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Josh Palmer. All those players are 5 points or more a week, with Thornton being the only one in double digits.
Burton had a really nice game for the Bears, but he's option number 4 or
Yeah.
5 typically. Now, he had a couple of big plays, but Romeo Dobbs right now could be to me the best on that list because he's shown. I don't know. I don't see enough consistency out of him,
Right.
but he's shown that he can be a really explosive weapon. And I'm frankly pretty surprised he's not on more rosters.
Right.
I've also tried to pull the trigger on him a few times this year and just haven't. So
Right.
I don't know what I feel like eventually I'm going to regret not doing that.
Yeah.
But I think of all the receivers I see on here, Dobbs is probably the one that I would make a play on.
Yeah, one guy I really like, and I actually picked him up, was DeAndre Hopkins. I know he's older, but every time I watch a Ravens game, he seems to be coming up with a big catch or even a touchdown. I think he's averaging some 8 points a week this season so far, and he's not Lamar Jackson's favorite target. I feel like he's very rarely, play calls are not necessarily going his way, but again, if he's just going to be able to rack up a touchdown and get a few catches, I mean, that's going to be huge for you.
Jordan Addison's coming back from suspension for the Vikings. They're going to Pittsburgh. They're going to play Pittsburgh in Dublin Sunday morning. Maybe that's an option. There's probably going to be some points scored there. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with an update on the league and our final question. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. Remember, you can submit questions, ask us about your lineup, or maybe trying to figure out who to play in the flex. Hit us up on X, Instagram, or we're now on Threads, or you can email us, fantasyplus@woodtv.com. All right, the league, we're getting there. Jack, you got a win against the boss.
How about that?
Yeah.
Tried to give it away at the end, but got that first win, got off the schneid, so here we go.
Yeah, the 3-0 Dan Nichols team beat you by, 11 points there or 9 points there, Phil?
Yeah, I would like to point out that I was at a funeral this weekend, so
Yeah.
I did not have time to set my lineup and ended up starting a CD Lamb that did not play at all. So
But he started the game, so...
You started the game.
Yeah.
You would have started.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
No question.
Let me have this. I'm trying to rationalize my loss.
You're rationalizing your loss, 69.8 points. I wish I would have played you this week instead of week 1.
Yeah, and I had to play play, speaking of points, I had to play the highest scorer of the week. I had, I think, the fourth best score of the week, but Brian Sterling, man, that Lions game, they just poured it on. Montgomery had almost 30 points. In addition to, he had Taylor as well, who had the number 1 week.
He played so far above his head that
Yeah.
I'm really glad I'm playing him this week because there's no way he goes 150 with that roster 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's tough when my 3 best players all score 20 plus and I still lose, but it's, it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Then taking a look at the other 3 games,
Hey, Laney got a win.
Laney
so the
got-
sports department now has a win from each team.
Laney got her win. I think the second highest score of the week. So, she got 32 from Minnesota. That helped. Giving Cam his first loss of the season. Alex suffered a loss to the defending champ Mike Ingram. Finally gets a win. Thanks to Lamar and Gibbs and Brown. Like you were saying, Jack, he can't. There's only so many weeks that Jackson and Gibbs aren't going to show up on the stat sheet.
Right.
And then Matt continues to roll, picking up another win, 98 points.
A
Sometimes
third of those points from his quarterback. More
Yeah.
than a third.
Yeah.
Wow. Caleb Williams had a great week.
Yeah, and then Prescott, Gavin lost out because CeeDee Lamb got hurt early in the game. Take a look at the standings. There were 2. There's 2 teams that are undefeated.
Everybody has a win, though.
Yeah, everybody's got a win, so that's good. So this week, Phil, you're playing the boss. Jack, you get to play the big points scorer of last week.
Yeah.
But you've got Allen against the Saints. We assume you're playing Allen against the
Yeah,
Saints.
oh yeah, no question about it. And my team still hasn't had like a week yet. We've just 1 or 2 guys and nobody. This might be the week for me. My roster's better than 1 and 2.
And Bijan going up against the Commanders.
So let's go, Bijan.
I'm
He's
looking
been
for
relatively quiet for the overall number 1 pick.
yeah. I mean, like good, but not the number 1 pick value.
So when do the Atlanta Falcons? I mean, you might have put Cousins on that list of quarterbacks.
That's true. That's
Because
true.
at some point, the Falcons have shown they don't have a lot of patience with a quarterback who's struggling.
Right.
And, I still think a lot of Cousins' issues last year were injury related.
Right. He wasn't healthy.
He's a great leader. They're paying him a boatload of money, and they might be thinking, let's let Penix develop a little bit and see if Cousins has still got it.
Right. All right. One question before we go. It's our overtime question for the week. What player are you holding on to too long that maybe you drafted high or maybe you picked up, spent a lot of fab on? What player are you holding on to too long on one of your teams in one of your leagues?
I don't know if this counts because I kind of need him, but it's David Njoku. I mean, he has done nothing this season. I play him week after week. I know the Browns are the Browns, but we all kind of expected him to be one of the top tight ends, and I think the most points he's had this year has been 6, 7 points in a week. So I don't know if they're just not looking his way, if he's not getting separation, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I want to handle that tight end position, but right now I feel like I have to hang on to him just in case eventually he does break out.
Plus, Fannon's developed and kind of taken away
Right.
some of Njoku's time. Jack, have you come up with your answer?
It's probably one of the running backs that I took as a handcuff, in the mid to late rounds. So
Right.
either Tank Bigsby or else RJ Harvey. That was probably my worst pick in the draft.
Right. We'll see what Harvey does against the Bengals this week. And
We'll see. He's not going to be in my lineup.
maybe,
He'll be on my
but I
bench.
meant maybe he'll have some more value to a team that needs a running back
True,
or something.
but he's one of those guys now. I'm trying to if somebody's out there that I can grab off waivers, who am I dropping? And if the guys I've got on my roster, he's probably the guy I'm dropping first.
Well,
Not real happy with Jerry Jeudy right now either.
You're just disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, good luck this week to everybody. Don't forget there's the early Sunday morning game in Ireland, and then there's the 2 games on Monday night. So adjust your lineups accordingly, and good luck. And thanks to Jack and Phil for being here this week. We'll see you next time on Fantasy Plus. Thanks for watching.